Humans aren't supposed to rewrite the rules of an entire galaxy in 6 months. But nobody told us that. Captain Marcus Stone stood frozen on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise, watching the most terrifying sight he'd ever seen. A ship 3 times bigger than anything Earth had ever built just appeared near our moon base. This wasn't some movie. This was real. And we were completely outgunned. The alien vessel looked like it was made from liquid silver, bending light around its curves in ways that hurt to look at. Stone's crew tried to act professional, but he could see their hands shaking. Hell, his own hands were shaking. "Captain, incoming transmission," called Lieutenant Sarah Connor from communications. Her voice stayed steady, but Stone noticed she gripped her console like her life depended on it. "Put it through." The main screen flickered. Suddenly they were face to face with something that definitely wasn't human. Pale blue skin stretched over a skull too long for its face. Black eyes the size of dinner plates. And a mouth that was way too wide, stretching into what might have been a smile, but looked more like a predator showing its teeth. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect English, but the voice sounded like wind howling through a graveyard. "Greetings, primitive species of the third rock from your star. I am Ambassador Zephyr of the Galactic Federation. We represent the ruling body of this galaxy's civilized worlds." Stone felt his jaw clench at the word primitive, but kept his voice calm. "This is Captain Marcus Stone of Earth's Deep Space Fleet. We welcome contact with your Federation." That horrifying smile got wider. "How adorable. Your species has finally managed basic space travel. We've been watching your pathetic progress for quite some time." Down on Luna Base, Dr. Sarah Mitchell was sprinting through corridors toward the emergency briefing room. As Earth's top expert on alien life, she dreamed about this moment her whole career. But now that it was happening, she felt like throwing up. The briefing room was packed when she arrived. Admiral Harrison sat at the head of the table, his weathered face showing zero emotion. Next to him, Diplomat Robert Chin shuffled papers with trembling hands. Dr. Michael Torres, head of Earth's Tech Division, was frantically typing on multiple tablets at once. "The aliens want a face-to-face meeting," Admiral Harrison was saying. "They're sending a delegation to Luna Base tomorrow." Dr. Mitchell took her seat. "What do we know about them?" "Not much," Dr. Torres replied without looking up. "Their ship uses technology we can't even begin to understand. Power readings are completely off our charts." Robert Chun cleared his throat nervously. "According to their message, they represent something called the Galactic Federation. Apparently, it's a government spanning multiple star systems with hundreds of different alien species. And they want us to join." Dr. Mitchell asked. Admiral Harrison's expression darkened. "They want us to apply for membership. Apparently, there's a very long process involved." The next day changed everything. Dr. Mitchell watched through the observation window as 3 completely different types of aliens walked through the airlock. Ambassador Zephyr led the group, moving with an unsettling grace that reminded her of a hunting cat. Behind him came something that looked like a giant praying mantis with 4 arms and a shell that gleamed like black metal. The third alien was the strangest yet. It appeared to be made of living crystal, shifting colors as it moved. The meeting began in Luna Base's largest conference room. Ambassador Zephyr introduced his companions as Razor of the Insectoid Collective and Prism of the Crystal Empire. All 3 looked at the humans with barely concealed amusement, like adults watching children play with toy blocks. "Your species wishes to join the Galactic Federation," Zephyr began. "This is a process that typically takes many decades, assuming success at all." Robert Chin leaned forward eagerly. "We're prepared to do whatever's necessary." The mantis-like Razor made a sound like breaking glass. "Prepared, perhaps. Capable is another matter entirely." Prism spoke next, his voice like wind chimes in a storm. "In the past 1,000 years, 734 species have applied for Federation membership. Only 12 were accepted." Dr. Mitchell felt her heart sink, but Admiral Harrison didn't even blink. "What does the process involve?" the Admiral asked. 3 primary evaluations," Zephyr explained with obvious satisfaction. "First, technological assessment. Your species must demonstrate sufficient advancement to contribute to galactic civilization. Second, cultural evaluation. We must determine if your society is stable enough for interstellar responsibility. Third, military capability. Federation members must defend themselves and contribute to galactic security. Dr. Torres spoke up. How long do we have to prepare? The evaluations begin immediately, Razor said, practically purring with satisfaction. Most species fail within the first few months. Ambassador Zephyr activated a device that filled the air above the table with holographic images. Spacecraft that dwarfed Earth's largest vessels. Weapons that could shatter moons. Cities floating in space without any visible support. These are the technological standards you must meet, Zephyr said. As you can clearly see, your current capabilities fall laughably short. Prism's crystal body pulsed with shifting colors. Furthermore, your species shows disturbing signs of instability. Multiple governments, constant conflicts, resource depletion. These are not characteristics of a mature civilization. Robert Chun was sweating now. Surely our diversity could be seen as a strength? Different perspectives, varied approaches to solving problems. The three aliens exchanged meaningful looks. Zephyr's too wide mouth stretched into that unsettling smile again. Diversity is chaos, he said simply. Successful galactic civilizations are unified, predictable, and stable. Your planet shows none of these qualities. The meeting dragged on for hours, with the aliens explaining detailed requirements for each evaluation. By the end, most of the human delegation looked completely defeated. The technological gap seemed impossible to bridge. The cultural requirements would demand completely restructuring human society, and the military standards called for capabilities Earth couldn't develop in 100 years. As the aliens prepared to leave, Ambassador Zephyr turned back one final time. We will establish a monitoring station on your moon to observe your progress. Do not mistake our presence for encouragement. We fully expect your species to fail these evaluations, as most do. When that happens, Earth will be classified as a protected primitive world, and contact with galactic civilization will be prohibited for at least another 1,000 years. After the aliens left, the human delegation sat in stunned silence. The doctor. Mitchell was the first to speak. They don't think we can do it. Admiral Harrison's eyes showed a glint she'd never seen before. No, they don't think we can do it their way. Lieutenant Sarah Connor, who had been quiet throughout the meeting, looked up from her notes. Sir, what do you mean? Admiral Harrison stood up slowly. I mean, maybe it's time to show them that humans don't always follow the expected path. 3 weeks after the aliens established their monitoring station, engineer Lisa Chong was working late in her laboratory on Mars colony. She'd been given pieces of alien technology to study, small devices the Galactic Federation considered basic tools. The aliens expected humans to spend months just figuring out how they worked. Lisa had figured that out in 2 days. Now she was doing something the aliens probably never expected. She was making them better. Hey, Michael, come look at this, she called to Dr. Torres, who was working across the room. Doctor. Torres walked over, rubbing his tired eyes. What did you find? Lisa held up a small alien device, glowing with soft blue light. This is supposed to be their standard power cell. According to their specs, it should run for about 50 years before needing replacement. That's pretty impressive, Michael said. Sure, but look at this. Lisa showed him a human-made battery she'd modified. I took one of our fusion cells and redesigned it based on what I learned from their device. This one should run for 200 years, and it's half the size. Michael stared at the device in Lisa's hand. That's impossible. Their technology is thousands of years more advanced than ours. Lisa grinned. That's what I thought too. But their technology isn't really advanced. It's just old. Really, really old. They've been using the same designs for so long that they never bothered to improve them. Meanwhile, halfway across the solar system, Captain Alex Rodriguez was having his own revelations. He was leading a team of military strategists reviewing the Galactic Federation's combat simulations, tests every species had to pass to prove they could defend themselves. The simulations showed massive space battles with thousands of ships arranged in perfect formations, firing energy weapons at each other across vast distances. It looked impressive, But to Alex's experienced eye, it looked like something from a history museum. "This is how they fought wars 1,000 years ago," he told his team. "Look at these formations. They're so rigid, so predictable." Colonel Maria Santos, who had spent years studying guerrilla warfare, nodded in agreement. "It's like they never learned anything from asymmetric conflicts. Everything is about bigger ships and bigger guns." Alex pulled up Earth's military history on his tablet. "Look at how we fought in Afghanistan, Vietnam, Iraq. Guerrilla tactics, electronic warfare, psychological operations. We learned that the bigger army doesn't always win." "You think we should show them our real tactics?" asked Major David Kim, who specialized in unconventional warfare. Alex smiled. "I think we should show them how humans actually fight." Back on Earth, Dr. Jennifer Walsh was dealing with a different problem. The cultural anthropologist had been studying the Galactic Federation's social requirements, and what she found disturbed her deeply. Every single member species had the exact same basic social structure. Rigid hierarchies with clear chains of command. No democracy, no dissent, no individual creativity. Everyone knew their place and stayed there. "It's like they're all copies of each other," she explained to Dr. Richard Stone, Earth's leading psychologist. They were sitting in her office at MIT, surrounded by holographic displays showing the social structures of dozens of alien civilizations. "Look at this," Jennifer continued, pointing to a chart. "The Galactic Federation has had the same government structure for 3,000 years. No changes, no evolution, no growth. The Crystal Empire is even worse. Their society hasn't changed in 5,000 years." Richard studied the displays with growing concern. "What about technological advancement? Surely they must innovate something." "That's just it," Jennifer said. They don't. Once they reach a certain level, they stop. They find methods that work and then never change them again." "But that's not how progress works," Richard protested. "Stagnation leads to decay. Any society that stops growing eventually dies." Jennifer nodded grimly. "Exactly. And they want us to become just like them." The breakthrough came when Dr. Stephen Hawking made a discovery that changed everything. The physicist was analyzing alien weapons technology when he noticed something odd about their energy signatures. "They're using nuclear fusion," he told Admiral Harrison over a secure video call. "But it's the most inefficient fusion I've ever seen." Admiral Harrison leaned forward. "Inefficient how?" "They're only getting about 30% energy conversion," Stephen explained. "Our latest fusion reactors are hitting 90% efficiency. And their weapon systems are even worse." Stephen pulled up a holographic model of an alien weapon. "This is supposed to be their most advanced military technology. It's basically a really big laser that takes enormous amounts of power to fire. But look at this." He showed the Admiral a human weapons design. "One of our railguns could punch through their shields using a fraction of the power. And our missile systems could overwhelm their defenses completely." Admiral Harrison was quiet for a long moment. "Are you telling me that their advanced military technology is actually inferior to ours?" "In many ways, yes," Stephen confirmed. "They focus so much on making things bigger and more powerful that they forgot to make them better." The pattern was becoming clear across all of Earth's research teams. The aliens weren't as advanced as they claimed to be. They were just old. They had found ways of doing things that worked and then stopped trying to improve them. Senator Elizabeth Warren was discovering the same pattern in the political realm. As Earth's representative to the Galactic Federation's preliminary hearings, she had access to thousands of years of Federation records. "They haven't had a new idea in millennia," she reported to an emergency session of world leaders. "Every problem is solved the same way it was solved before. Every challenge is met with the same response their ancestors used." President Michelle Obama looked around the table at Earth's leadership. "So what you're all telling me is that this great galactic civilization is actually stuck in the past." "That's exactly what we're telling you," confirmed Dr. James Cameron, who had been analyzing alien communication patterns. "And what's more, I think some of them know it." James activated a holographic display showing intercepted alien communications. "I've been monitoring their private channels. They're members of their younger generation who are frustrated with how things are done. They want change, but the older generations won't allow it. Dr. Emma Watson, Earth's top linguist, have been working with James on the communications project. We're seeing signs of dissent in at least 12 different species. Young aliens who admire human creativity and want to learn from us, but they're afraid to speak up. Their societies don't allow for dissent or new ideas, James continued. Anyone who suggests change is labeled as dangerous or unstable. Admiral Harrison stood up. So we have a choice. We can try to become like them and join their stagnant civilization, or we can show them a better way. President Obama looked around the table at her advisors. What are you suggesting, Admiral? I'm suggesting we don't just try to pass their tests, Harrison replied. I'm suggesting we show them why their tests are wrong. Captain Stone, who had been following the research from his ship, joined the conversation via video link. The question is, are we ready to take that risk? If we challenge their system and fail, they might decide we're too dangerous to leave alone. Dr. Mitchell, who had been quiet throughout the meeting, finally spoke up. Maybe that's a risk we have to take. For what we've learned, their civilization is dying. It's just dying so slowly they don't realize it yet. And if we join them as they are, added Dr. Walsh, we'll die with them. President Obama made her decision. Then we don't play by their rules. We show them what humanity can really do. The meeting ended with Earth's leadership united in a plan that would have seemed impossible just weeks before. Instead of trying to meet the aliens' expectations, they would exceed them in ways the Galactic Federation had never imagined. The real test was about to begin. The first official evaluation began on a Tuesday morning that would go down in galactic history. Ambassador Zephyr and his team arrived at Luna Base expecting to witness another primitive species fail their technological assessment. What they saw instead shook them to their core. Commander Jessica Parker stood in the simulation chamber, facing a holographic display of what the aliens called an impossible scenario. The test showed a single human ship surrounded by 50 enemy vessels. According to Galactic Federation records, no species had ever survived this simulation. Begin when ready, announced Razor, his insect-like voice clicking with obvious amusement. Jessica studied the display for exactly 30 seconds. Then she did something that made all three alien observers lean forward in shock. Instead of trying to fight the 50 ships head-on, she targeted her weapons at a nearby asteroid. The explosion sent chunks of rock flying in all directions. In the chaos that followed, Jessica's ship vanished from enemy sensors. While the alien ships tried to regroup and find her, she picked them off one by one using hit-and-run tactics. 20 minutes later, all 50 enemy ships were destroyed, and Jessica's ship was barely damaged. Zephyr stared at the display, in complete silence. In 3,000 years of testing, no one had ever thought to use the environment as a weapon. How did you know to do that? Prism asked, his crystalline body flickering with confused colors. Jessica shrugged. It seemed obvious. Why fight fair when you don't have to? The aliens exchanged deeply worried glances. This was not how the test was supposed to go. Meanwhile, Dr. Hawking was demonstrating human military technology to another group of alien observers. He stood next to a device that looked nothing like the massive weapon systems the aliens were used to seeing. This is our standard infantry weapon, Stephen explained to the alien military experts who had come to evaluate Earth's capabilities. The aliens looked unimpressed. The device was tiny compared to their energy cannons. Demonstrate its power, ordered General Nexus of the Crystal Empire military. Stephen activated the weapon and fired at a target 100 meters away. The projectile moved so fast that even the aliens' enhanced vision could barely track it. The target exploded into fragments. Interesting, Nexus admitted grudgingly. But surely it cannot penetrate our military shields. Stephen smiled. Actually, it can. He fired again, this time at a holographic shield generator the aliens had set up for demonstration. The projectile passed right through the energy barrier as if it wasn't there and destroyed the generator. The alien military experts began talking rapidly among themselves in their own languages. Their shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not physical projectiles moving at incredible speeds. How many of these weapons does your species possess? Asked General Nexus nervously. Every human soldier carries one, Stephen replied casually. We have about 50 million of them. The aliens went very, very quiet. Back on Earth, Senator Warren was making her own disturbing discoveries. She had been given access to the Galactic Federation's historical records as part of the cultural evaluation process. What she found made her call an emergency meeting with President Obama. They're not evaluating us, Elizabeth told the president over a secure video call. They're trying to decide if we're a threat. President Obama looked up from the report she was reading. What do you mean? I've been going through their records of past applications, Elizabeth explained. Every species that showed too much innovation or creativity was rejected. They don't want new members who might change things. They want members who will follow the established order. Elizabeth activated a holographic display showing the Federation's decision-making process. Look at this. The warrior race was rejected because they had too many different governments. The Tech Collective was rejected because they kept improving their technology too quickly. The Explorer Guild was rejected because they asked too many questions about Federation policies. So they only accept species that are already stagnant, President Obama said grimly. Exactly. And if a species is rejected, they're quarantined, cut off from the galaxy forever. The president was quiet for a long moment. How many species have they quarantined? Elizabeth's face was pale when she answered. Over 600. Some of them were more advanced than current Federation members, but they were deemed unsuitable for galactic civilization. This news reached Dr. Cameron just as he was making his own breakthrough in alien communications. The linguist had been monitoring private channels between Federation species, and what he was hearing confirmed their worst fears. They're debating what to do with us, James told Dr. Watson as they listened to intercepted transmissions. Some want to quarantine Earth immediately before we become too dangerous. Emma translated the alien conversation they were monitoring. This one is saying that humans are unpredictable and chaotic. This other one is arguing that we might contaminate other species with our instability. James nodded grimly. But listen to this part. He played another recording, this one from a younger alien voice. Emma translated with surprise. The humans solve problems we have struggled with for centuries. Maybe we should learn from them instead of fearing them. That's Kyle, Emma said with shock. Ambassador Zephyr's own nephew. He's been secretly studying our methods. Their conversation was interrupted when Colonel Santos burst into their laboratory. We have a problem, she announced. I've been monitoring alien military communications. They're positioning warships around our solar system. James and Emma looked at each other with growing alarm. How many ships? James asked. 50 so far, but more are coming, Maria replied. It looks like they're preparing for either a quarantine blockade or something much worse. The news reached Admiral Harrison within minutes. He immediately called Captain Stone, who was commanding the Enterprise near the outer edge of the solar system. Marcus, what's your tactical assessment? Admiral Harrison asked. Captain Stone studied the alien ships on his sensors. They're arranged in a classic blockade formation, but it's designed to contain rather than attack for now. Can we break through if we need to? Stone was quiet for a moment, running calculations. With conventional tactics? No, but we don't use conventional tactics. Admiral Harrison understood. How long do we have? Maybe days, maybe hours. It depends on what the Federation decides about us. The crisis reached its peak when Dr. Chong made a discovery that changed everything. The scientist had been analyzing the alien monitoring station on Earth's moon when she noticed something terrifying about their data collection methods. They're not just watching us, she told Admiral Harrison during an emergency briefing. They're scanning our entire planet, every military installation, every research facility, every population center. Admiral Harrison felt his blood run cold. That sounds like preparation for invasion or complete sterilization. If they decide we're too dangerous, Lisa replied grimly, they might not settle for just quarantine. The news reached President Obama just as she was preparing for what might be humanity's final meeting with the Galactic Federation. The aliens had requested one last evaluation session before making their decision about Earth's application. But now it was clear this wasn't really about membership anymore. It was about survival. Captain Rodriguez, who had been leading exploration missions beyond the solar system, reported even more disturbing news. I found evidence of 3 other star systems that were quarantined by the Federation. They're all dead now. No life signs at all. President Obama made a decision that would determine humanity's fate. Instead of going to the meeting to beg for acceptance, she would go to make a stand. Get me a direct communication channel to every species in the Galactic Federation, she told her staff. If they want to judge humanity, then let them hear what we really have to say. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine not just Earth's future, but the future of the entire galaxy. The aliens expected humans to submit or be destroyed. They were about to learn that humans had a third option. The secret meeting happened in the deepest part of Luna Base, far from alien monitoring equipment. Ancient Counselor Sage had requested the meeting through channels so secret that even Ambassador Zephyr didn't know about it. General Harrison and President Obama sat across from the oldest member of the Galactic Federation. Sage was ancient even by alien standards, his crystalline body showing the deep purple colors that marked extreme age among his species. "You are in great danger," Sage said without any greeting. His voice was like distant thunder, heavy with the weight of centuries. But perhaps we all are. President Obama kept her expression calm, though her heart was racing. "What do you mean?" "The Federation will vote to destroy your species within days," Sage replied. "They have already decided. The only question now is whether to sterilize your planet from orbit or simply blockade your system until you destroy yourselves." General Harrison leaned forward. "Why are you telling us this?" The ancient alien's body shifted to darker colors. "Because I have lived for 8,000 years, and I have watched our civilization slowly die. Your species represents something we lost long ago, and I fear we are about to destroy the only hope we have left." Sage activated a holographic projector showing images of various alien civilizations. "Do you see the pattern in these societies? All the same, all following identical paths, all frozen in time. We noticed that President Obama said, but we assumed it meant you had found the best ways to organize society." "Best?" Sage's laugh was like breaking glass. "Child, we have not had a new idea in 3,000 years. We have not solved a major problem in 5,000 years. We have not grown or changed or learned anything in so long that most of us have forgotten what progress feels like." The ancient being showed them more images, these ones depicting the early history of various Federation species. "Once we were like you, creative, chaotic, unpredictable. We grew and changed and reached for the stars. But success made us comfortable, and comfort made us afraid to change." General Harrison studied the images with growing understanding. "You're stagnant. We are dying," Sage corrected. "Slowly, quietly, peacefully dying. And we have been dying for so long that we mistake it for wisdom." President Obama felt a chill run down her spine. "What does this have to do with humanity?" "Your species does in weeks what takes us centuries to consider," Sage replied. "You improve our technology, solve our military problems, and suggest new ways of thinking about old challenges. You represent everything we once were and could be again." The ancient alien's body pulsed with brighter colors. "But you also represent our greatest fear. If we accept that your ways are better, we must accept that we have been wrong for thousands of years. If we admit that change is good, we must admit that we have been slowly killing ourselves with our own stability." Meanwhile, Dr. Chong was making discoveries that supported everything Sage was telling the human leaders. Her research team had been analyzing the quarantine star systems that Captain Rodriguez had found. "It's not just that they're dead," Lisa explained to Dr. Torres over a secure channel. "It's how they died. Look at these energy signatures." The holographic display showed the remains of 3 different star systems. Each one had been home to a thriving civilization that had applied to join the Galactic Federation. "They didn't die naturally," Torres said after studying the data. "These look like weapon signatures." "Exactly. The Federation didn't just quarantine these species, they exterminated them. Dr. Torres felt sick. How many? Based on the records I've been able to access, at least 20 star systems. Maybe more. Back on the alien monitoring station, a very different conversation was taking place. Kyle, Ambassador Zephyr's nephew, was meeting secretly with other young aliens who had been watching humanity's progress. They solved problems by thinking differently, Kyle was explaining to the small group. Instead of following established procedures, they ask why the procedures exist in the first place. A young insectoid named Spark clicked her mandibles in agreement. My people have been using the same mining techniques for 4,000 years. These humans improved our efficiency by 300% in 2 weeks. And their military tactics added a young crystal being called Gleam. We spend centuries planning every detail of our battles. They adapt and change strategy in the middle of combat. It should be chaotic, but somehow it works better than our methods. Kyle's communication device chimed with an urgent message. He read it, and his body changed color with shock. "What is it?" Spark asked. "The vote has been moved up. The Federation will decide humanity's fate tomorrow." Kyle's voice was full of fear. "And I just received the preliminary vote count. It's not even close." Meanwhile, Colonel Santos was coordinating Earth's military response to the growing alien fleet around their solar system. The blockade now included over 200 ships from dozens of different species. "They're not taking any chances," she reported to Admiral Harrison. "This is enough firepower to sterilize a dozen planets." Admiral Harrison studied the tactical displays with Captain Stone, who had moved his ship closer to Earth to help coordinate the defense. "What are our options, Marcus?" the Admiral asked. "Conventionally? None. They outnumber us 1,000 to 1, and their individual ships are more powerful than anything we have. And unconventionally?" Stone smiled grimly. "Well, they're expecting us to either surrender or fight a traditional space battle. We could do neither." "Explain." "Look at their formation. It's designed to contain us, but it assumes we'll try to break out through normal space. What if we don't?" Admiral Harrison understood immediately. The new drive system Dr. Chong developed. Exactly. They don't know we can fold space. We could be anywhere in the galaxy before they realize we've moved. But President Obama had a different plan. She had been thinking about everything Sage had told them, and she realized that running away wouldn't solve the real problem. "We're not going to flee," she announced to her advisors. "And we're not going to fight them on their terms." "What do you mean?" General Harrison asked. "I mean, we're going to do what humans do best. We're going to change the rules of the game." Dr. Watson, who had been monitoring alien communications, suddenly looked up from her station with excitement. "President, you need to hear this. I'm picking up transmissions from young aliens throughout the fleet. They're talking about humanity, and they're not saying what their elders expect them to say." She played the intercepted messages. Even through the translation, the admiration in the young alien voices was clear. The humans have accomplished more in months than we have in centuries. Maybe our ancestors were wrong about the value of stability. What if change is not something to fear, but something to embrace? President Obama listened to the messages with growing hope. "How many of these young aliens are there?" Based on the communication patterns, maybe 30% of the crews in that fleet, Emma replied. "They're not in command positions, but they're there." Dr. Richard Dawkins, Earth's leading philosopher, had been listening to the conversation with growing excitement. "President, I think I know what we need to do. I'm listening. We don't need to convince the old aliens that we're right. We need to convince the young ones, and then we need to give them a choice." President Obama understood. The solution wasn't to fight the Galactic Federation or run from it. The solution was to offer the galaxy something it hadn't had in thousands of years. Hope for change. Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, Earth's historian, had been studying the records of how other galactic civilizations had fallen into stagnation. "It always happens the same way," he explained. "The older generation becomes so invested in maintaining the status quo that they stop listening to new ideas. Eventually, the young people stop having new ideas because they know they'll be ignored. But if the young aliens saw that change was possible," President Obama mused, If they saw that their ideas could be heard and valued, they might be willing to stand up to their elders for the first time in centuries. Exactly. Neil finished. The plan was risky, but it was also uniquely human. Instead of fighting or fleeing, they would do something the galaxy had never seen before. They would offer revolution. The Great Council Chamber had not seen an assembly this large in over 1,000 years. Representatives from all 847 member species filled the massive space, their various forms creating a rainbow of colors and shapes that stretched as far as the eye could see. President Obama stood at the center podium, looking small and fragile compared to the alien beings surrounding her. Above her head, holographic displays showed her image to every delegate in the chamber. The weight of not just humanity's future, but potentially the future of the entire galaxy, rested on her shoulders. Ambassador Zephyr rose from his position among the senior Federation members. His voice carried clearly through the chamber's advanced sound system. We have gathered to render final judgment on the species known as humans from the planet Earth. After extensive evaluation, this Federation has determined that this species poses an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the older delegates, but President Obama noticed that many of the younger aliens remained silent. The humans showed dangerous tendencies toward unpredictability, chaos, and rapid change, Zephyr continued. They refuse to follow established protocols and consistently find new ways to solve problems that have already been solved. This behavior threatens the order that has kept our galaxy peaceful for millennia. Ancient Counselor Sage spoke next, his voice heavy with the authority of his great age. Furthermore, their technology advances too quickly. Their society lacks proper hierarchy. Their military tactics are disturbing. The Federation's recommendation is immediate quarantine, with sterilization protocols to be implemented if they resist containment. A chorus of approval arose from the assembled delegates. President Obama felt her heart sink as she realized how many aliens supported the decision to destroy humanity. But then she noticed something that gave her hope. Throughout the chamber, young aliens were looking uncomfortable. Some were whispering to each other. Others were shifting nervously in their seats. These were the beings who had been secretly studying human methods and admiring human innovation. Zephyr gestured toward President Obama. The human representative will now make her final statement before we vote. The chamber fell silent. 847 alien species waited to hear humanity's last words. President Obama took a deep breath and stepped forward to the microphone. Dr. Dawkins and Dr. Tyson had helped her prepare this speech, but in the end, the words had to come from her heart. Honored delegates, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. You are about to make a decision that will determine not just the fate of humanity, but the fate of your own civilization. Surprised murmurs ran through the crowd. This was not the pleading they had expected. You call us dangerous because we change, President Obama continued. You call us chaotic because we adapt. You call us unpredictable because we grow. But I ask you this, when did change become the enemy of progress? She activated a holographic display that showed the history of various Federation species. Look at your own past. Every one of your civilizations began with change, with growth, with the courage to try new things. That courage brought you to the stars. That willingness to change made you great. Young aliens throughout the chamber were now listening intently while their elders shifted uncomfortably. But somewhere along the way, you stopped, President Obama said, her voice growing stronger. You found methods that worked, and you decided that was enough. You built a system based on preventing change rather than embracing it. And now you call that wisdom. Kyle, sitting in the junior delegate section, felt his heart racing. No one had ever spoken to the Federation like this before. You are afraid of us because we remind you of what you used to be, the president continued. We remind you that growth is possible, that improvement is always within reach, that the universe still holds mysteries worth solving and challenges worth facing. She paused, letting her words sink in before delivering the crucial part of her speech. But we are not here to beg for acceptance into your stagnant system. We are here to offer you something better. We offer you partnership. We offer you renewal. We offer you the chance to remember what it feels like to truly live instead of simply existing. The chamber erupted in angry voices from the older delegates. But President Obama raised her hand for silence. Some of you will reject this offer because admitting you need change.